Let's dive into the mind of a poet who stared right into the abyss of life's biggest questions. Birth, death, why we're even here. And he came back with the same answer over and over again. I don't know. But here's the real puzzle. How did this man, so obsessed with uncertainty, become one of the most powerful voices for optimism and joy in all of literature?
These are the opening lines from Iliya Abu Madi's most famous poem, al-Qalamiyya, or Riddles. And get this, the poem has 71 verses, and every single one of them ends with that same line, I don't know. It's this incredible, almost hypnotic deep dive into the absolute mystery of our own lives.
So that sets up the big question for us today, right? How did the poet of I don't know manage to build a concrete, powerful philosophy for how to live? How do you build a house of happiness on a foundation of pure uncertainty?
To even begin to answer that, we have to follow his own journey. Because for him, the search for answers wasn't just some abstract philosophical thing. No, it was a real, physical journey across the world. A hunt for knowledge and for a place where his voice could finally be heard.
You can see his path was both literal and intellectual. He's born in Lebanon, but then moves to Egypt as just a kid, working during the day and just devouring books at night, teaching himself. Then he's off to America, landing in Cincinnati to be with his brother, writing the whole time. But New York City, that was the real destination. That's where everything was about to change.
And this is a huge deal, because in New York, he didn't just find a new place to live. He found his people. He became a key part of the PEN Association, this amazing circle of Arab-American writers, including, yes, the Kahlil Gibran, who were completely reshaping Arabic literature from halfway across the world. This was the group where his ideas would really be tested and forged.
And as he's finding his voice with them, this massive conflict starts to appear in his work. His poetry really becomes his battleground for a soul that's being pulled in two totally opposite directions.
So on the one hand, you have this deep, almost brutal skepticism. When he looked at death, he saw all our big philosophies as just empty noise. He thought the whole idea of an afterlife was a story we made up, born out of what he called a simple love of survival. To him, death was a brick wall, period.
And his view of us, of humanity, it wasn't much better, to be honest. He basically believed that, at our core, we're all just instinctively selfish. So that's a pretty dark view of life and human nature, right? But then, there's the other Abu Madi.
And this is the great paradox. How does the same guy who sees death as a void and people as selfish also become the poet who's constantly telling us to be cheerful, to embrace brotherhood? How on earth did he make those two warring ideas live together inside his own mind?
And that brings us to the core of his solution. He had this incredible realization that the answer wasn't something he was going to find out there in the world. It wasn't a fact he could learn in a book. It was a choice. It was a decision he had to make for himself.
This is it. This is the key. Staring right into that void of I don't know, Abu Madi made a powerful choice. He figured, hey, if life doesn't come with its own prepackaged meaning, well then it's our job to give it one. The solution to the riddle of life was to stop searching for an answer and start living one.
I mean, that line, it just flips everything on its head, doesn't it? He's saying our experience of life isn't just a reaction to what happens to us. Our mindset actually creates that experience. Life isn't heavy on its own. Our thinking is what makes it feel heavy. We build our own burdens, which also means we can build our own joys.
And he didn't just write about this, he preached it. This little piece of dialogue is the perfect example. He's telling us to choose to smile, not because things are great, but precisely because they aren't. It's like he's saying, look, the world has enough gloom already. Don't add to it. Fight back with a smile. It's an act of defiance.
And it all leads to this one central, kind of radical belief. He wrote a whole poem about it, called Happiness is an Idea. Just think about that for a second. Happiness isn't a thing you get or a place you go. It's not even just a feeling. It's an idea. It's a concept you decide to live inside of, a story you choose to tell yourself about your life.
So what's the game plan? How do we actually do this? Well, his practical advice really comes down to these three things. 1, actively look for the beauty that's already around you. 2, make a conscious, deliberate choice to be cheerful, to smile. And 3, be a source of comfort for other people. Or, as he put it so beautifully, be a balm.
What's so amazing is that this philosophy, figured out over 100 years ago by a Lebanese immigrant in New York, feels like it could have been written this morning. It's such a powerful guide for how to get through a world that, let's face it, often feels pretty chaotic and uncertain.
This line from his poem Human Clay might just be his final answer to everything. Remember how he believed we were all instinctively selfish? Well, despite that, he made a different choice for himself. He decided the best response to all the chaos and human flaws wasn't to be cynical, but to consciously rebuild his own heart into a temple of love.
And so here we are, full circle. The man who filled pages and pages with I don't know finally found his certainty. But it wasn't some cosmic truth handed down from the heavens. It was a choice, a very human choice, to create beauty, to give comfort, and to love, especially when faced with the great unknown.
And that leaves all of us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? Abu Madi's whole life shows us that our reality is shaped by the story we decide to live inside. So, if he's right, if happiness really is an idea, what's the story you're going to choose to live by?